Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 16th annual celebration of student entrepreneurship. Actually, this event and the awards and competitions related to it precede the founding of the Baker Institute, which occurred just over 10 years ago. Yes, we have completed our first decade and are planning a year's worth of festivities beginning tonight. The Innovate Celebrate event has certainly taken on a different form this year, and it can't even all be contained in one Zoom evening. First came the Innovate half of the program last week, which was dedicated to the journey of our most advanced student entrepreneurs. Tonight we host Celebrate, recognizing the students, alumni, and faculty who are Lehigh's best entrepreneurial thinkers and doers. And that definition expands far beyond those with their own startups. In fact, the ways in which entrepreneurial mindset, when applied across disciplines, creates opportunities for success is our focus this evening. So we're going to kick things off by sharing a video that profiles one of Lehigh's most successful entrepreneurial thinkers. He is among the inaugural class of Baker Institute Fellows. We'll introduce all of them a bit later, but the fellowship is a new recognition of students who've embraced and applied an entrepreneurial mindset through their Lehigh journey. Some start ventures that become their full-time gigs. Others start ventures that become their passion projects while they get some experience working for someone else. And some have learned that an entrepreneurial mindset transcends the startup environment. So let's meet Nazir Elskari.
My name is Nazir Elskari. I'm a senior at Lehigh University studying entrepreneurial management. The Baker Institute was the deciding factor for me to come to Lehigh. I was just blown away by the resources that they had, the dedication that they had. I've benefited from Baker's programs in many ways. Anything that they offer, I show up to because I know I'm gonna gain more knowledge than I had when I first walked in there. And so that's why I love the Baker Institute. They always have something new. They always have something innovative. The part of entrepreneurship that inspires me is being able to create something from nothing. The idea that entrepreneurship is creativity in a physical sense is because the idea that you have and the idea that you're creating was not there before. And so once other people get involved and other people buy into that idea, it becomes something beautiful. And that's really what happened with my business, A Sneakerhead's Paradise. A Sneakerhead's Paradise is a unique sneaker concierge service that aims to provide simple, affordable access to sneaker enthusiasts for highly sought after sneakers. And so why that's important is because a lot of sneakers sell out within 10 minutes of being released, and a lot of people who really want them don't get them. And when they don't get them, they enter a resale market in which the price sometimes goes over 500% its actual retail value. And so we really are passionate about getting sneaker enthusiasts into the sneakers that they love and really helping build the brand around that. The biggest lessons I've learned is that someone from, a small town with not a lot of resources can do things that people from Silicon Valley can do. And I think that learning that and really getting outside of your community and seeing other people that look like you and that are interested in the things you're interested in, being successful and pursuing their dreams and passions, is just inspiring. And I realize, every time I go back home, not a lot of kids are getting that. Not a lot of kids are seeing that, and I've been extremely privileged to be able to have that opportunity, and that's something that I'll never take for granted. Some of my goals for the future include really growing this to be something that's not just a project, but a full-on business that people recognize as a brand. A lot of people want to create businesses to be self-employed. I would like to create businesses to employ other people, and that's really my goal. And so it doesn't begin and end here with the Sneakerhead's Paradise, but this is something that I'm passionate about and want to see all the way through. I didn't know how I would pursue entrepreneurship alongside school, and the Baker Institute has been along with me on this journey since I got here my freshman year. Everything that I am right now and everything that I've been able to accomplish right now has been in part due to their involvement, and I'm really thankful and appreciative for that.
Thank you, Nazir. You've just been a wonderful student that we've been just so thrilled to support. So you may have noticed on your invitation and looking at the slide right now that our logo has changed a bit. So as I said, we've just completed our first decade and we're in celebration mode. In the coming months, as we resume life on campus, we'll be hosting events and opportunities for alumni, students, staff, and faculty to engage with us and each other to mark the 10 years of impact that the Baker Institute has had on the entrepreneurial culture, ecosystem, and community at Lehigh, which was our charge when our founding benefactor, Dexter Baker, provided us the core funding to launch the Institute and to sustain it. From the investment we made in establishing and supporting the entrepreneurship curriculum for its first 10 years, to launching of the first student venture competitions, to championing the development of entrepreneurial mindset as a way for students to succeed no matter their major or background, to the building of a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem with campus partners, to our now flagship Lehigh Silicon Valley program, helping Lehigh's expansion west, to building a strong network of successful Lehigh alumni who share their time and talents with our student entrepreneurs. It's really been a great 10 years. Please be on the lookout for the upcoming anniversary festivities. So our mission at Baker, as I said, is to provide opportunities for students to become entrepreneurial thinkers and doers. That means recognizing problems that exist right in front of them or around the world as opportunities to create value, and having the skills and abilities and confidence to put those ideas to work, creating sustainable value for others. When students engage in that process, regardless of discipline or work environment, they're building their entrepreneurial mindset muscles, and they understand the world and their place in it differently. Tonight, we'll be recognizing many students who have done this incredibly well. The Catherine Davis Foundation, through its Projects for Peace program, invites undergraduates at American universities to design grassroots projects that they will implement over the course of the summer months between academic years. Once nominated by their home institution, the projects judged by the Davis Foundation to be the most promising and doable will be funded at $10,000 each. Their objective is to encourage and support today's motivated youth to create and try out their own ideas for building peace. Lehigh teams have been awarded this prize every year for a decade. Our colleagues in the Office of Creative Inquiry coordinate the selection process for Lehigh nominees and invite student projects from across the university to nominate their work. The Davis Foundation made the decision last spring to defer the 2020 awards until the pandemic would allow for in-person site work. So this year we'll be recognizing the winners from 2020 and 2021. Please welcome Bill Whitney, Administrative Director of the Office of Creative Inquiry.
Thank you, Lisa, and good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to recognize these three project winners. First winner we are recognizing this year is the 2020 winner in neglected disease, sickle cell diagnostic test strips. This team is designing an affordable, sensitive, specific, user-friendly, rapid and robust, equipment-free, and deliverable sickle cell anemia diagnostic test to be used as a screening test in low and middle income countries. And the first 2021 winner is diagnosing autism in Africa. In areas of sub-Saharan Africa, little is known or understood about autism spectrum disorder. So the objective of this project is to develop a culturally appropriate, freely available screening tool for autism spectrum disorder for implementation in Sierra Leone, with a long-term goal of distributing the screening tool throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And if the stars align, both the sickle cell team and the autism team will be conducting field work in Sierra Leone in August of this year to advance these projects forward. The second 2021 winner is Promoting Peace, Empowering Ugandan Youth Through Education and Sports. The forgotten district of Bududa in rural Uganda has high rates of poverty, illiteracy, and other challenges. This project team will partner with the local nonprofit organization, Pathways Development Initiative, to create a tutoring center for local youth that's aligned with Pathways' existing sports clinic. By fusing education with sports, the project aims to increase school success, provide safety and security for local student athletes, and use sports and scholarship to foster peace building in the region. So many, many congratulations to these three teams, their amazing students, and their faculty advisors. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and congratulations to these amazing students. I can't think of a time in my life when Projects for Peace has more meaning. I'd now like to introduce Eve Freed, who in 2020 was the inaugural recipient of our next award. Eve is an artist, engineer, and entrepreneur. She's graduating in May with an integrated degree in engineering and arts She's president of the Student Senate, and she's a Baker Fellow. Eve?
Hi. Okay, so the R.K. Laros Foundation Endowed Prize for Entrepreneurship, Creativity, and Innovation is given to recognize a student who has participated in programs with the Baker Institute for Entrepreneurship, Creativity, and Innovation, and who demonstrates entrepreneurial spirit. This year, 3 winners have been selected because members of the Baker team have seen you become inspired to tackle the world's challenges with the design thinking approach and entrepreneurial mindset. Congratulations to Stephen Escobar Mendez, class of 22, Serena Kareem, class of 22, and Saheb Saini, class of 22. What is something you do differently now in your everyday life as a result of practicing an entrepreneurial mindset?
I can start off. So first off, thank you to the Baker team for honoring me and my peers as well. We really appreciate it. We're really grateful for the Baker Institute, and we appreciate all that you've done and all that you've taught us. Now to answer the question. So one thing, not necessarily one thing that I do, but one thing that I've noticed about myself is I'm much more optimistic and more active in solving problems, whether it's something small, like, a conflict at home, or whether it's something big, like managing a student organization. I'm starting to now see problems as opportunities to grow and to just try something new as well. And then something else, I think Nazir mentioned this in his video as well. It's made me more grateful and optimistic of the opportunities that I have, because I didn't know about the Baker Institute before the hatchery, which I did in December of 2020. So the Baker Institute has truly made my college experience much better. It's made me much more grateful for all the opportunities that I have at Lehigh University.
For me, for an entrepreneurial mindset has helped me really focus on the why of I run a business now, and it really helps me focus on why I do my work, and helps me focus on myself and look for opportunities to learn about new things, as well as learn about myself.
The entrepreneurial mindset for me really helped in being grateful for everything that Lehigh has done in expanding more than simply political science and global studies, and seeing the advantages in the problems that are currently present. Because of the entrepreneurship mindset, I was able to see, especially in 2020, which was a terrible year for many, seeing the opportunities of what can I do now, seeing the difficulties, what can I do to better myself still? And thanks to that mindset, I'm currently helping a non-governmental organization in Colombia in reviving after the Civil War. So I believe that the hatchery, the Baker Institute, has really helped me in preparing not only my future goals, but knowing step by step what to do in order to reach them.
Thank you all. Congratulations, Serena, Sahib, and Stephen. It's been a pleasure and our honor to work with you. And since you're still here for another year, keep coming back for more, and we will keep supporting you in whatever ways you need. Next, we're going to spend a couple of minutes with Scott Gruninger, who has been relentless in his journey as a student entrepreneur. Having graduated in December, Scott took advantage of every opportunity we offered. He has applied all that he's learned and continues to learn, and is the co-founder and solo founder of 2 very real companies. I've asked him to share a little bit about his life as an entrepreneur with you. Scott?
I've always been entrepreneurial my whole life. The biggest thing I love about entrepreneurship is the intellectual challenge of solving unique problems and coming up with viable solutions that haven't existed before. In high school, I started a 3D printing company out of my desire to have a 3D printer. But once I began to run the company, I found my love for running a business outweighed my desire for a 3D printer. I ran that company for about 3 years before I came to Lehigh, when I sold it off. The Baker Institute is the main reason I came to Lehigh. Once I enrolled at Lehigh, I took as many entrepreneurial classes and programs as I could, just out of the pure enjoyment for the material. I was at a meeting with my academic advisor once, and she had asked me if I was going to declare my entrepreneurship minor. And I said, I didn't even know that was a thing here. I was just taking classes based on my interest. As I continued to participate in as many entrepreneurial programs through Baker as possible, I met my current business partner, Austin Huffman, through the Drivers Club at Lehigh, and we then became roommates and eventually became partners on Valvetronic Designs, which is an automotive technology company where we design and build valved exhaust systems for high-end sports cars like BMW M3s, all the way up to $500,000 Lamborghinis. We've been running this company for a little more than 3 years now, and we just signed a lease on some manufacturing and logistics space about 2 days ago. And by the end of 2021, we'll do about $1.2 million in sales. Baker taught me how to look for non-conventional ways to solve problems. The most recent example is that we were paying a lot of money to ship our show car to different automotive events we were attending around the country. So through the business and entrepreneurial processes I learned through Baker and while at Lehigh, I decided to start a trucking company so that Valvetronic Designs wouldn't have to pay to ship our car to events, and the trucking company would be self-sufficient and pay for the equipment itself while making money on top of that. This is the main reason I cannot say enough nice things about Baker. They taught me to look at situations through a different lens, which allows me to have unique and often more efficient solutions to problems than I could have had otherwise.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate the accolades from you and all the students. We invited you to tell us about yourselves and are humbled by the fact that you have all included Baker in in the assets that you've been describing. So best of luck to you and Austin. And we know you'll keep in touch. As I said, Scott is a newly named Baker Fellow, and so that gives him a really good reason to stay close. Now, if any of you were here with us last week at the Innovate event, you know we held our Thalheimer Grand Prize pitch competition. There were 3 extremely qualified students pitching their advanced venture projects, vying for the $5,000 grand prize. Though there was only one winner, the other 2 had actually garnered awards for their cumulative work over the course of the year. So first was the Michael Levin Advanced Technology Award for engineering students developing technologies around which a venture is being created. And that went to Serena Kareem for her work on FollyQ. By combining her bioengineering research with the needs of her customers, Serena has embodied the spirit of this award. Congratulations to you, Serena. The John and Joanne Thalheimer Award for Student Achievement in any discipline in their own startup went to Michael Rich for his work on Streamlined. He won and leveraged more resources this year through the Eureka program than any other student entrepreneur in his category. Congratulations, Michael. And finally, the Joanne and John Thalheimer Grand Prize went to Brian Quispe and Graham Patterson for their venture OcuTrap. Congratulations once again to all our finalists. We are so looking forward to see your continued progress. I'd like to now introduce you to Annie Norris, a scholar athlete in the Ideas program. Annie ticks all the boxes for having an entrepreneurial mindset at Lehigh. Now at Baker, we see an athlete's mindset as very similar to the entrepreneurial mindset. And in fact, based on that, we've launched a program this year in partnership with Lehigh Athletics called Home Field Advantage, where athletes apply that mindset to creating entrepreneurial solutions to the global housing crisis. Annie is an aspiring digital designer who is integrating her passion for art with computer science and entrepreneurial studies. Annie?
Hi, so the John B. Oakes Teaching Award was endowed by Professor Emeritus Oakes, who founded the award-winning IPD capstone program and more recently the TE master's program. The Oakes Award is given to recognize and reward young faculty at the front end of their careers who have taken initiative and risks in their teaching by embracing entrepreneurship and/or entrepreneurial mindset learning. This year, it is presented to Professor Christy Morin, Assistant Professor of Special Education in the College of Education. Since 2019, Professor Morin has been mentoring a team of 5 students in the Global Social Impact Fellowship Program, which employs an entrepreneurial mindset to address global development challenges. Her team was awarded the Davis Project for Peace earlier this evening for their project, Diagnosing Autism in Africa. Professor Morin has shown creativity, resilience, and adaptability, challenging the team to understand the context and problems of the diverse stakeholders in Sierra Leone by not only designing the screening and diagnostic instruments, but developing and validating practical strategies to integrate them into the educational and healthcare systems in Sierra Leone and other West African countries. As a teacher, Professor Morin demonstrates great initiative, perseverance, and boldness. She takes an innovative and entrepreneurial approach to education. Her teaching philosophy is student-centric, relationship-centered, and project-based. This is indeed the essence of the entrepreneurial mindset at work. She has demonstrated that entrepreneurship belongs as much in education as it does in engineering, business, science, and health and the arts. Congratulations.
Professor Morin, if you would like to say a few words.
Yes, thank you so much. I was asked to spend a few minutes talking about my thoughts regarding the entrepreneurial mindset as they apply to my discipline in teaching. In the 2 years that I've been at Lehigh, I've learned more about the entrepreneurial mindset than I have in my previous 10 years in my field of special education. This growth in knowledge and awareness has largely been a result of my work with Kanjan Mehta and Bill Whitney from the Office of Creative Inquiry. The Baker Institute places a high value on coaching and mentoring, stating that it's vital for a venture's success. This claim has certainly proven true in my own experience. Through Kanjan and Bill's mentorship, I learned how to reframe my thinking surrounding my own teaching and mentoring of students. The real-world challenges we address in special education may look different than those tackled by people in other fields, but they involve the same creative thinking and focus on the customer, in our case, teachers, parents, and individuals with disabilities, that is inherent in the definition of the entrepreneurial mindset. I'm grateful to both Kanjan and Bill for their mentorship and to the Baker Institute Selection Committee for selecting me for this award. It's a great testament that the entrepreneurial mindset can be integrated into all teaching and learning, regardless of one's discipline. So thank you all.
Thank you and congratulations. Jack Cunningham, who's a recent graduate, a Baker Fellow, and a student entrepreneur, brings his entrepreneurial mindset to work with him every day now that he has begun his career in tech. He joins us now to present the award that he won last year. Jack?
Thanks. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Lisa. The Donald Finchbaum Memorial Endowed Scholarship is given to encourage students to combine technology, engineering, manufacturing, and entrepreneurship. This year's winner was nominated and chosen because he brings a unique combination of technology and business right into his academic work, his peers in the classroom, and his co-curricular settings that's beneficial for both his peers and his instructors alike. He's a strong intellectual curiosity and passion for entrepreneurship and innovation that has been clearly demonstrated in the classroom, his work in New Ventures Club, participation in the Global Entrepreneurial Fellowship Program, the Technology Ventures course, and through his 2020 Apple WWDC Conference Award. Congratulations, Dave Jaw.
Dave, are you with us? I'm not sure Dave has a connection. So
can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay, sorry about that. Give me 1 second. There we go.
There you are.
Can you see me now?
We can.
Sorry about that. My settings were a little messed up. But thank you, Jack, for the kind words. And I really want to thank the Baker Institute for all the programming they've provided me as a student to encourage me to develop in an entrepreneurial way, whether that be, pitch nights or the New Ventures Club, or especially the Global Entrepreneurship Fellowship and the programming there. It's meant a lot. And I also want to thank my professors, Professor Costa and Professor Josh Ehrig especially, for motivating me so much to do this. And finally, I just want to thank my parents and the companies that really took a chance on us last March when we started providing PPE because of the shortages. It's really inspired us as students that we have the power to make a true change in our world and be able to provide safety for so many people. So thank you again.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jack. Congratulations, Dave. Next, we're going to say hello to Cameron Cipriano, a Baker Fellow and recently graduated student entrepreneur who is now a full-time entrepreneur who combines design thinking, and technical expertise to advance the missions of the companies he works with. Cam?
Thanks, Lisa. Can you see me?
Yep.
All right. So I'm about to present an award that will have a familiar ring. So Professor Morin just won the John B. Oakes Teaching Award. Before retiring from Lehigh, John Oakes endowed that award for faculty on the front end of their career. The John Oakes Faculty Achievement Award was originally given to John Oakes and named for him by Lehigh's 13th president, Alice Gast, in recognition of his major impact on entrepreneurship education at Lehigh. So Professor of Practice Mark DeVink is the recipient of that award tonight. He has made the momentous decision to leave his role in the Technical Entrepreneurship Master's Program that he has been a part of since its inception to fully re-engage in his own entrepreneurial endeavors. He has dedicated his talent, experience, knowledge, and expertise for the past 9 years to that education and benefit to hundreds of Lehigh students. During his tenure, he set the standard for experiential, hands-on learning in graduate entrepreneurship education. His total commitment to his students' development of their entrepreneurial mindset and skills will be greatly missed by the TE Master's Program leaders, students, and alumni. We wish him very well. Congratulations, Mark.
You're on.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much. I'm very honored to be recognized. I'm very lucky to just over 9 years ago have had lunch with Dexter Baker and his family and Lisa and the Baker Institute family and the TE family and future colleagues at that time to talk about the future of TE and what graduate entrepreneurship is going to look like at Lehigh. And I'm really proud of what everyone has done, not just myself certainly, but with the help of Baker and the help of the College of Engineering and all of my colleagues to have inspired so many students to continue their entrepreneurial journey, whether it's starting their own company or joining a startup or innovating at a big company. So yeah, it's funny, you asked me to talk for 1 or 2 minutes. If you asked me to talk about entrepreneurship or robotics for 3 hours, I could, but to say thank you for 2 minutes seemed like a daunting task. So I'm sure I'm missing people, but the Baker family, thank you so much for all the support. The Baker Institute for sending us so many amazing students to continue their journey. And most of all, just thank you so much to all the students. They taught me more than I ever could have imagined possible 9 years ago. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Mark. Congratulations on the work you've done here at Lehigh over the course of 9 years. I've been blessed to work with you, alongside you, and in support of you. And I did forget to mention that you were the named Baker Professor of Creativity early on. And I think that came out of that lunch that we all had together, because Dexter was most definitely impressed by you. So you will be missed, and we look forward to watching your career just, skyrocket as it was on its way to doing before you took a side road over to Lehigh for almost a decade. Next, we meet an interdisciplinary engineer, designer, and entrepreneur, Emma Kwasnowski. Ideas undergrad, Baker Fellow, and currently earning her master's in technical entrepreneurship, or TE, won the People's Choice Award last week for Advocan, a redesign of the pelvic exam speculum at last week's innovation event. She is especially passionate about developing innovative products that create a social impact. Emma?
Thanks, Lisa. So I chose ideas and Lehigh because I was interested in engineering, but also had a passion for something more. In my sophomore year, I took a design thinking seminar with Chris Kausman of the Baker team, and that was my first introduction to entrepreneurial thinking. This shaped the course of my education. I learned that entrepreneurship can be a means to address problems I've experienced that are meaningful to me and that have a social impact. Through entrepreneurship, I melded my interests in engineering, design, and equity. As an undergraduate, I led a venture to combat harassment that female runners experience. Now, in graduate school, I'm building a business to improve the pelvic exam experience and ultimately address issues of equity in healthcare. The Baker team supported me throughout this experience, from providing funding and pitch competitions, to acting as mentors, to even facilitating an externship at Adobe. I don't know yet what the future holds after graduation, but being a student entrepreneur has been so meaningful, and I hope to give back with my skills and passion in my career and as a Baker Fellow. And now I would like to present the Farrington Award. The Farrington Award for Outstanding Commitment to Entrepreneurship at Lehigh is given in the name of Gregory Farrington, Lehigh's 12th president, who planted the seeds for the explosive growth of interdisciplinary education and entrepreneurial opportunities for students at Lehigh, which we celebrate tonight. President Farrington has the vision to harness new resources and expand entrepreneurship learning, paving the way for programs, curriculum, and facilities that support and celebrate entrepreneurial thinking and doing at Lehigh. To celebrate those alumni and friends of the Baker Institute who have continued to help us make great strides in this direction, the Baker Institute presents the Farrington Award annually. Recipients include John Thallimer, Dexter Baker, Alita Friedman, Dale Falcinelli, and Tom Gillis, among others. Tonight, we add in Lehigh alum Paul Martino to the ranks of the Farrington Award winners.
Thank you, Emma, and congratulations, Paul. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. So let me tell you a little bit about Paul. He's the co-founder and general partner of Bullpen Capital, a venture group unlike any other. When Bullpen launched 10 years ago, they had a goal to find and invest in entrepreneurs who were being ignored by Silicon Valley VCs. Without compromising on that vision, their portfolio now spans all categories. Their companies are started by diverse founders who discovered product market fit early on and exhibit the perseverance to become market leaders. Certainly assets that we hope for our own student entrepreneurs. By approaching the art and science of investing in this way, Bullpen Capital is truly unique. Prior to forming Bullpen, Paul was a serial entrepreneur and an active angel investor. He founded Bullpen in 2010 and has led several of its key investments, including FanDuel, namely Ipsy, Spot Hero, Classy, AirMap, and many more. So all of that makes it clear that Paul is an extremely accomplished player in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, but it doesn't really tell you why he's the recipient of the Farrington Award. So about 4 years ago, as the Baker team was redesigning the Lehigh Silicon Valley program after the retirement of its founding director, Dale Falcinelli, I reached out to Paul. Up until then, he'd been involved at Lehigh every so often as a visiting expert in a few entrepreneurship classes and as a guest speaker on a panel here and there. I knew of him, of course, and I kept thinking, wow, if we could only get Paul Martino to join us as a key player in Lehigh Silicon Valley, we could really take the program to a new level. No, I thought, he's too much of a reach. We'll never get his time. But it turned out all I really had to do was ask. He said yes when I met with him about the program. In fact, I was nervously trying to convince him that it would be worth his time, and he said, and we laugh about it now, my answer is yes. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the details. It's going to be fun. And he's continued to say yes ever since. Paul became one of our first professors of the day in the LSV program, hosting a full day with Bullpen, his portfolio companies, sharing a 360 immersion into how it all works and the why behind it all. And the student response was explosive. Paul continues to give generously of his time to the Baker Institute through LSV and beyond. He carries on conversations with our students well past the dates of our programs and provides many with ongoing support and advice. He rallies other Lehigh alumni in the Bay Area and generally has raised the level of entrepreneurial discourse at Lehigh. Paul, would you join me?
Thank you very much, Lisa. I'm thrilled that I was able to get home in time to get my award, which is sitting right here next to one of my hippopotamuses. And if you know me, I collect them. So it's in a prestigious spot there. I'm thrilled to join quite a distinguished group of people. And I have a few minutes to speak a bit about entrepreneurship. And I have a topic or two that's near and dear to my heart. And I know we'll do a fireside chat afterwards. I want to talk to you a little bit about one of the most important days of my life as an entrepreneur. I've started 8 companies now, and my third company was called Tribe Network. Tribe was one of the first social networks, started in 2002 by Mark Pincus, I, and a few others. Mark went on to form Zynga, the great computer game company. The reason this was an important story was our board member was a guy named Alan Morgan. Alan Morgan was our lead investor, and he called me up on a Friday. He said, Paul, I'd like to take you out to lunch on a Saturday. I was like, okay, great, go out to lunch with you. I went out to lunch with Alan, and the lunch was very brief. Alan basically said, hey, Paul, your time is up. You're fired. You're out. And I was pretty mad. I was pretty mad for about 36 hours because by Sunday night, I had the idea for my next company, which became Aggregate Knowledge, my 4th business. That business ultimately sold to Newstar for $100 million, over $100 million a few years later. So 36 hours later, next idea for the company, it's Monday morning. I call Alan Morgan, say, Alan, I need an office to start my next place in. Can I get a spot from you? And I was in Alan's office by the end of the day Monday, and that was my temporary office location. I remember calling my dad from the office, and he said, I don't understand. You're at the guy's office who fired you on Saturday, and that's where you're going to do your next company. I said, yes. And oh, by the way, I didn't get along with the new CEO, and quite frankly, probably deserved to get fired. So why am I telling you this story, and why is this so important? It's because the key lesson in entrepreneurship is that failure is okay. And quite frankly, the person who fired you on Friday might be the person whose office you use on Monday. Entrepreneurship is all about second, third, fourth, and sometimes even 10th chances. The reason I want to talk about this is I think there have been some things that have happened recently that make me very nervous that this spirit of making mistakes is getting lost. I read a story that concerned me quite a bit not long ago about a woman who had her admission to college rescinded because of a 10-second video she had recorded a year or two earlier. I thought to myself, isn't that strange? Instead of a dialogue about I'm sorry and let's figure this out, who was Alan Morgan here who said, you're out, but let's fix it. Let's get it right the next time around. And I thought, if I was an entrepreneur, I would have handled that really differently. More recently on Lehigh's own campus, we had a controversy happen when a professor used statistics in a way other people deemed to be inappropriate. I thought to myself, that's also odd. Statistics themselves shouldn't be misleading or used in inappropriate ways. They're math. I was a math major, and saying that these numbers are being used in a misleading way and we got to take the video down, that struck me as odd and non-entrepreneurial. And by the way, to the university's credit, invited more people in to comment on the video, and now both videos are up. That's what the spirit should be of entrepreneurship. By the way, also, I find it funny that sometimes statistics get used to prove that, say, this group is doing better than that group, or these people are doing this and that. Well, if math is so bad, you probably shouldn't use statistics as the way to prove your point. So why am I delving into this topic as my acceptance speech for this important award? It's because I think entrepreneurship is the single most important thing we can do in the United States to promote equity, to promote people advancing themselves, and to solve the massive structural issues that are in front of us. But in order for us to do that, entrepreneurship needs to be open to everybody. It needs to be accessible to everybody, not just people from acceptable groups or the people who voted the right way in the most recent election. It needs to be available to everyone, because if it's available to everyone, you can change your lot in life the fastest, because entrepreneurship is the most surefire way to do it. By the way, when I say everyone, I mean everyone. I recently made a film. Some of you saw it. We premiered it on campus. The film was about 3 felons. I happen to know one very well, who is my cousin. Should they have the right to go start their next companies, even though they made a dumb mistake a few years ago? I say yes. I'm actually involved in a current endeavor right now where one of the management team members had a recent arrest. And somebody said to me, Paul, are you comfortable with that? I said, yes, I'm comfortable with that, because you know what? People deserve second chances in this country. And you know what? I'm willing to bet on that person, because he's got a chip on his shoulder from what happened and he wants to prove people right. I'm willing to give that person a chance. Lots of times entrepreneurship is harder if you don't have those connections. We heard Naz talk about this. We're going to talk more later about come from humble backgrounds, didn't have connections. And by the way, this is one of the things I love about Baker. Baker is trying to knock down those barriers to get you introduced to your mentors, to get you your first $10,000, to let you find those sources of capital. And my opinion, do the most important thing, let you make your own boneheaded mistakes. Entrepreneurship doesn't work unless there's a spirit of, I'm going to try something, it might not work. If it doesn't work, what did I learn and how can I pay the example down forward? Because you know what, entrepreneurship, it's a personal endeavor. It is a highly personal matter to say, wake up in the morning one day and say, I'm going to topple this incumbent massive company. I'm going to build a team from scratch. I'm going to triumph over forces much bigger than I personally could ever imagine. It's the triumph of that iconoclastic founder. And that is something we all celebrate today. You've met many of them. They're the kinds of people I love to work with. I'm a tech entrepreneur in general, and I'm worried a bit about some of the things that we've seen happen in tech. Because while tech has created these platforms and this wealth, it's the mechanism by which I'm addressing you all today. Tech's also become, in my opinion, part of the problem. Tech's deciding who gets a platform and who doesn't. It's deciding if you should have a voice at the table or not. That concerns me a great deal because I want everyone to have a platform. I want everyone to have the opportunity to be an entrepreneur and not have a private corporation say, well, I kind of don't like the company you're starting, so you don't get to do so. I really do hope in the future, tech takes a look at itself and says, we need to be open to more people, not excluding others. So I've taken this time as my keynote to kind of issue you this warning and ask for a bit of a call to an action. I feel like we're at a real inflection point in the country. The path forward is unclear. Nothing is set in stone, but we as the entrepreneurs can help form what the way forward is. The path I would like to see is one in which entrepreneur is expanded and extended, and people who have previously been left out, whether because they're underprivileged or from the wrong group or said something dumb when they were 16, get access to the resources that have been made available by places like Baker and quite frankly by funds like Bullpen. And I'd love for all of you to join me in this endeavor. And the next time you see somebody say something dumb, pull them aside and say, look, that probably wasn't the thing you needed to say, but why don't you come over to my office and let's talk about how we get it right the next time. Basically, what Alan Morgan did for me, even though I was mad for 36 hours when he fired me. We need more Alan Morgans here, and I hope more people can take this call to action and say, next time when they see someone who's at risk of having their platform taken away or their company removed from them, no, let's talk about it. Let's figure out what you can do better next time. Because I'm now on my 8th company, and trust me, I've screwed up a lot of things in the prior 7, and I know I'm going to screw stuff up probably on this 8th one, and the 9th one, and the 10th one. I'm thrilled that so many of you on this Zoom have been along those journeys with me, and I encourage all of you to promote this spirit of entrepreneurship for everyone listening. So Lisa, thank you very much for this award. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about these topics. And I look forward to the conversation with the rest of the group.
Thanks, Paul. I think we need more Paul Martinos as well as more Allens. So we now have Olivia Abrams and Nazir El-Skari joining you. I will be backing out of the conversation just so we can dive a little bit further into the mind and heart of Paul Martino. So Olivia, Nazir, take it away.
Hi, Paul. It's so nice to see you and congratulations on your award. Naz and I are both seniors now and have ideas of what our futures may be like. What did you think your future would be like when you were a senior at Lehigh, and how is that different from what it's like now?
I'm going to answer that, but I'm going to flip the question back on you guys in a second. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think you heard this when you were in my office. I said, I was born this way. I think in some ways, entrepreneurship is sometimes a mental illness, but it's a useful one, right? You almost can't help yourself if you're an entrepreneur. And by the way, the reason I want to turn it back on you a bit is I'm so excited about this. The reason when Lisa asked me to participate in this, that I was so excited that you and Naz would do this, is how were you two picked for this? You two were picked for this because you were the ones who approached me after the programs were done and said, I'm doing a company, why won't you help me? And I keep telling everybody, call me up, I'm here to help. And that's how you got picked, because we've had an ongoing dialogue ever since about how to move your companies forward. And I want that lesson of mentorship and pay it forward to be heard by the whole group, because you know what, Naz, Olivia, maybe you'll be the recipient of this award a few years from now, and you do the same for the next person.
Naz, do you want to go first?
Yes, I think to answer your question, as you said, I feel like entrepreneurship has been in my spirit since I was young. It's something I've always dreamed of, and that sometimes I thought it was unattainable for me, actually, until I got here at Lehigh and got involved with the Baker Institute. And so, I do want to thank you for your inspiration and for your time, because I know you don't have a lot of excess time, and really being able to sit down with somebody as accomplished as yourself was really important for me. So thank you.
I have to completely agree. I think growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, it's kind of impossible to avoid that fate, and would love to be in the restaurant industry, just like my dad and my uncle one day.
Right.
So as a follow-up to Olivia's question, I kind of want to know what motivates you to give your time back to the Lehigh students. You're busy, you have a lot of businesses you're starting and investing in and things of that nature, and I'm sure they need just as much help, if not more. So what is your motivation behind giving your time back to the Lehigh community?
As you know, this business is a mentorship business. As much as you learn this at the Baker Institute, as much as there is a class on it now, you don't learn it for real until you go out and do it. It's like skydiving. You don't do it until you jump out of the plane. You read a lot of books about it, but you either jump out of the plane or you don't. Entrepreneurship is the same way. And that means you need a lot of coaching. It means you need hand-holding. You need mentorship. If this was just to pick up the book and read it, it would be more like your entry-level calculus class. And sure, it's great to have a professor there, but you know what? You can flip to the back pages and see what the answers are. There are no answer keys in entrepreneurship at the back page of the book. And so you hope that you can meet somebody like me, as I met people like myself before. Some of my mentors were, Matt Otko runs a great fund called Data Collective. Josh Koppelman runs First Round Capital. They put their arms around me and helped me out in those early days. And that cycle only continues if people like me come back to Lehigh and say, this is a career path you need to think about. Let me show you how to do it. And I'm thrilled that both of you have said, I raise my hand, I want this.
Going off that, it's so interesting how you've played the role of both an investor and a founder. And I'm curious if you think if you had not been a founder first, what kind of investor would you have been?
A bad one. So that one's easy, Olivia. I just think that ultimately my value add as an investor is not my money. Money is by definition the ultimate commodity. My value add is, hey, you know what? It's your time to go, founder, and I'm here to fire you. And I can have that conversation with you the right way, because guess what? I was fired by Alan, right? The story I just told you. And that is the difference between a good value-added investor and just someone who's writing you a check. I've seen a lot of movies. I promise you I haven't seen them all. And I always tell my entrepreneurs, please make a mistake I've never seen before, because then I can write it down. Then I'll learn something. But don't make a mistake I told you would make. Then I'm going to really get mad at you. Make a mistake that I sit there and go, shit, I can't imagine that you screwed it up that bad. That makes my day, actually. And so that to me is at the heart of what it is we need to do in this whole cycle of entrepreneurship.
So as someone who's experienced the challenges of sort of being on the peripheral of resources and things like that, coming across an investor with the inclusive way of thinking that you have is really important. I want to kind of know from your perspective, do you get a lot of pushback being the investor you are? And if so, what is it like dealing with that in your space?
Yes. So So I would say among the entrepreneurial community, very little pushback. When I meet people from the entrepreneur community, they come into my office. I'm sometimes their therapist to start the meeting. Man, I met all these people. They didn't give me the time of day. Thanks for taking 10 minutes. That's the easy part. But let me tell you what the hard part is, Naz. A lot of times my investors, the limited partners, the university endowments, they say, Paul, do you know what you're doing? This other firm over here, they look for the kids who left Facebook who went to Stanford, and shouldn't you do a little more of that? I was like, yeah, but you know what? Those kids who left Facebook and went to Stanford have a lot of ways to get a check. Let me tell you about this husband and wife team from Edinburgh, Scotland, doing fantasy sports. That's FanDuel, right? I was just in Orlando this morning. I flew in just in time for this with a husband and wife founding team in Orlando doing last mile freight delivery. Grew up in Erie, and his prior company had 100 angel investors from Erie. Guess what? The venture people weren't knocking his door down either. We love that founder because that founder is the one that's overlooked. And we've created a great brand and mission around this. And the hard part for me is sometimes convincing my own investors this works. But when FanDuel gets bought for $14 billion, then you get a little bit of credit. But along the way, there's a lot of skepticism.
That makes a lot of sense. You've worn so many different hats throughout your career and accomplished so many different types of things. What's a dream that you have for yourself or for your family that you'd still love to accomplish?
It's not so much a dream. It's that I'll continue going on the destination. My partner I started a Bullpen with, who I think some of you have met, Rich Melman. He started Electronic Arts in 1982, that little game company that does Madden. I started Bullpen with him 11 years ago when I think he was 72 years old. What are you doing at 72 starting a venture fund? By the way, yesterday was his birthday. I think he turned 83 yesterday. His birthday's 4/20, so it's always easy to remember. And so Rich is 83, and he started a venture fund with a guy a third of his age. That's my dream, right? That's who I want to be. And so it's not so much that I want to one day climb Everest or that I want to one day start this company. It's that when I'm 83, I ask myself, what am I going to do next? To me, that's the ultimate definition of winning. And for Rich to be as sharp and with it as he is, and have endeavored to start this company at the age he did, that's where I want to go.
Awesome. I love that answer. I do want to ask a couple questions, more so for the possible entrepreneurs in the room looking at this event right now. What is the biggest lesson you learned from being an entrepreneur that you want every entrepreneur to walk away knowing tonight?
It's what I said in my opening comments. You have to feel enabled to make mistakes. If you think that, a lot of times if you want to become a CEO the traditional way, you get promoted and you can never make a mistake. If you want to go the traditional way, you kind of can't make a mistake. It gets narrow and narrower as you get promoted up the chain, and only one person gets to the top job at a big company. And that's a career of no mistakes. Entrepreneurship is the exact opposite. It is, I'm on my 8th company, 3 of them completely failed. I got fired from one of them. One of them they tried to put me in jail for because they said it was an illegal gambling operation. That's what you have to be able to do. And if you don't feel enabled to make a mistake, you will never, ever achieve greatness in this game. It will be a straitjacket on you that you can't make a mistake. And if you worry that your first company doesn't work and you'll never get another check again, and how will I look those investors in the face? This is not the career path for you, because you have to embrace that failure is a fundamental and rewarding part of the process. And I wish the rest of the world understood that the way us entrepreneurs do.
Domain expertise has played such an important role in your willingness to support entrepreneurs, and you have expertise in so many domains. So if you had to pick one to spend the rest of your career working in, which one would it be?
Well, that one's easy. So as much as I'm a generalist, my passion has been at the intersection of gaming, gambling, and sports. And my most recent endeavor is called the Bankroll Project. We're going to be building a next generation sports betting facility in downtown Philadelphia. And we are going to demonstrate that there is a new entertainment modality that's neither a restaurant nor a casino, but something in between. This is definitely the kind of thing I'm doing. And when I did my investor pitch, a lot of my investors in other endeavors invested, and I did it from this chair a couple months ago. And the highest praise I got was from an investor who's backed me in almost everything I did. Said, Martino's going to build a sports betting thing in his hometown of Philly. Like, where do I send the check? So I think I'm going to play in this category a little bit longer.
Awesome. Well, of course, we're here to award you for your involvement with the Baker Institute. And so as someone who works with the Baker Institute a lot, we would like to know, what is something you would love to see from Baker in the future?
I think it's more of what we're doing. I love this award ceremony where we're actually highlighting you guys, right? Like, you get to learn about the companies that got formed along the way, right? It's not just, it's great to get the award. It's great to tell you some war stories. You know, you can call me up anytime and hear them one-on-one if you really want to hear them. But what's great about this is we get to highlight you, the student entrepreneurs who are learning what you're doing. You get to talk about your business. We get to see your video to start. And that is very, very different than other entrepreneurial programs I've been involved with at other universities, where we really, really spend the time here to highlight what you're doing and show that this is something you can do while you're a student, as opposed to, I got to graduate, I got to go to a company for a few years, I got to get my MBA, and when I'm 30, I can try this out. No. You can do this right now. And I think Baker's done an outstanding job of democratizing this and demonstrating that this can be something you can do now as a freshman.
Well, I wish we could just continue that conversation for another half hour, but we're going to let you, get on with your evening, Paul. We appreciate that you made it back from the airport in time. Olivia and Naz, thanks so much for leading the conversation. Paul, we're excited to have you in the ranks of Farrington Award winners. And just so you know, LehighSiliconValley starts on January 10th. 2022. So we hopefully will be seeing you in San Francisco, and we look forward to it. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're approaching the final few minutes of our program tonight, and I want to spend a little time sharing with you this notion of the new Baker Institute fellowships that we've launched this year. We've known for several years that creating a designation and a set of resources for the students who have explored their entrepreneurial mindset, taken the journey, participated in a multitude of programs and opportunities, worked on solving problems that matter. They've done it at a higher level than most, and so we needed to do more for them. So this year, the Baker team put our heads together to create and launch the Baker Institute Fellowship Program that will, through a range of co-curricular and external experiences, provide those kinds of opportunities for the students who are named. And that will allow them to have a more customized career building set of opportunities through the lens of entrepreneurship. As innovative problem solvers who understand the need to create change with a unique value proposition, whether they're inside companies or in startups or as founders themselves, Baker Fellows will be positioned to leverage this exclusive opportunity as they enter the new world of work. Our inaugural class of 17 fellows have demonstrated curiosity, creativity, confidence, community, and also an X factor that communicates their transferable knowledge, how they've connected the dots in their journey and given back to the entrepreneurial community at Lehigh. So let me recognize the names of this year's inaugural class of Baker Fellows. Dominic Allen, Hua Bui, Will Coffey, Cameron Cipriano, Jack Cunningham, Kiara Damon, Nazir Alskari, Eve Freed, Scott Gruninger, Devin Jackson, Emma Kwasnowski, Maximilian Machado, Annie Norris, Nick Owens, Will Paracchio, Eliza Westcott, and Alex Woods. Congratulations to the fellows. We look forward to your continued engagement with each other and with the Baker Institute. Chris Kautzman is going to join me now. He's Baker's innovator in residence. He's our head entrepreneurial coach, and he introduced a practice in our programs that we're going to close with tonight. Chris?
It's become a bit of a Baker tradition now to have students, faculty, and staff share appreciations and realizations at the conclusion of Baker Institute events and programs as a way to reflect on what happened and show our guests the impact of their participation in the program. These share-outs are typically highlight key learnings and often surprising insights that have been gained throughout the time with each other. This year, we thought these takeaways and stories shouldn't be left only to the ears of the program participants and guests, but should instead be shared. So we've asked just a few of the Baker Fellows to reflect once again, and we've added a forward-looking component to this reflection this time. Instead of appreciations and realizations, we've asked that Baker Fellows share either a realization and/or an aspiration that they have as they move beyond Lehigh. I know these students inspire us and me, and I'm confident you'll see why. Will, kick us off with the first one.
Thanks, Chris. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I would probably say one of the biggest aspirations that I'm going to be taking with me forward as I graduate about a month out from graduation is really the process of creative destruction and validating through customer discovery, which I think is something that's not taught in basically all of your classes except entrepreneurship. I was always kind of a pretty big book smart person, but entrepreneurship was really the first time where I learned that what's in the textbook doesn't really matter. You have to go out, you have to validate. And sometimes you're going to get your ideas thrown around, disheveled, everything. But that's part of the process. It's about growing through sometimes having to go out there and do it yourself. So I really want to thank Baker for that great opportunity. It's really great to learn that now in college rather than out in the real world. So I'm definitely going to be taking that forward with me. So.
I'll go next. So in my involvement with the Baker Institute and its programs throughout my college career, I've realized that entrepreneurs don't really need to start their own company to make a difference. Like the entrepreneurial methodology, the mindset, the mentality, the drive, and ultimately the spirit exists in all facets of one's life. And it's this realization that has led me to find and execute on opportunities to innovate within my current employment with a large company. So when I'm going into the future and executing on some of my future aspirations, I'll always look back to this realization and ultimately my time with the Baker Institute.
So I want to go back to something Lisa had said, or she had described me as an engineer, artist, and entrepreneur. And I think that about sums up how I'm feeling. I'm excited to add more descriptors to that list. And I think that for me, the biggest realization was not being boxed in. Like that was the best part of the whole Baker experience for me, was not being boxed into just one description. I didn't have to be just an engineer. I didn't have to be just an artist. I could be whatever I wanted, and I can keep adding to that. And so Baker kind of gave me this home where I felt that I could be whatever I wanted. And it's just this really wonderful place where they encourage having no idea what you want to do with your life. Like that's something to celebrate. And for me, like that is exactly what I needed And I see that in my peers as well, that they need that to be celebrated too. That, a flexible career path is exactly what's out there for me. And I'm excited to get started on that. So, I look back, I started in the hatchery. I am now leaving the nest, but I also know that I will always have a place to come home to with the Baker Institute.
You certainly will, Eve. Will, the other 14 of the fellows who are with us tonight. So of course, we wish you the best, and we look forward to your continued connection with us. So I'm going to be a little bold here for a minute. Paul talked a lot about how Baker has democratized opportunities at Lehigh for entrepreneurial thinking and doing, and how in his world, until everyone gets to be an entrepreneur if they want to, and gets access to the resources they need, we're just not going to be as successful a country and world. So Baker has, been dedicating its time and resources to the idea that students are accepted to our programs needs blind. And what that means is there are programs that carry fees and tuition, or simply an opportunity cost, where a student who might need to work a full-time job rather than be in a full-time idea accelerator like the hatchery, simply can't do it without the support that we're able to provide through generous alumni donors. So here's the thing. Next Tuesday is Giving Day at Lehigh. If you've ever thought about supporting the students and programs of Baker, but just haven't gotten around to it, Giving Day makes it easy. So if you're so inclined, we'd ask you to consider donating $10 in honor of our 10 years at Lehigh. Now, you could decide to give us $10 a day, or a week, or a month, or just $10 once. We're grateful for your support because, as I said, we primarily use donor support to allow us to continue to provide access and inclusion, rightful inclusion, to students from every community at Lehigh. One of our generous donors has actually created a Giving Day challenge that we just learned about. So if we get just 10 donors, he'll give us another $5,000. So hopefully you'll be willing to help us with that. That's Brent Rosenthal, and we thank him for his continued support and for that challenge. So Giving Day is April 27th, and you can get in on the action by going to LehighGivingDay.com and selecting the Baker Institute as your chosen recipient. And then on May 24th, as Lehigh graduates the class of 2021, Baker opens the 2021 Hatchery, our full-time summer student idea accelerator. We've got 30 students ready to hop on board, including Brian from OccuTrap and Serena from FollyQ. They'll participate as young entrepreneurs in residence, continuing to develop their ventures alongside students who are newer to the idea of that creating a venture process, or even experiencing it for the first time. It's a one-room schoolhouse, just like LSV and many of our programs. Professor John Oakes, who you heard a lot about tonight, and who actually brought me into Lehigh 20 years ago and was my mentor for many years, would tell us that innovation occurs at the intersection of disciplines. And I will tell you that it's heightened by diversity, equity, and inclusion across every member of Lehigh's learning community. So again, congratulations to all the entrepreneurial thinkers and doers we've recognized tonight, and thank you all for joining us. And next year, we'll see you in person. Good night.